His life changed when Hoshino Kasuma and his brother Ayuma were on their way to a small town in the countryside. While they were on the train, he fell asleep and dreamt about the friend he once had in that place. They were near a river and she was crying about how they would be apart. He remembered how they promised each other that they would be friends forever. The two of them arrived at Yamabiko. Ayuma said that the place seemed like a quiet place. Unfortunately, he ended up lost in the forest. He was obviously scared and he even worried that there were bears. When he heard a rustling behind him, he became even more frightened. When he turned around, he shouted when he saw another person instead of a wild animal. It's a beautiful girl. The girl offered to guide him out of the forest. She was in the forest collecting wild vegetables. When they reached the river, she directed him towards the bus stop. She showed him how to cross the river by skipping onto the protruding rock. He crossed the river the way she did, but to his horror, he landed wrong and he fell on top of her. To make it worse, he accidentally kissed her. He instantly got off her, but it was too late. The girl's friend witnessed the whole thing. He tried to explain that it was not his intention, but the girl's friend was quick to conclude that he was a pervert. She kicked him hard in the face. Oh, that hurts. The girl then intervened and told her friend that he was telling the truth. She reluctantly lets it go, and he was able to go back to the bus stop. The two brothers managed to reach the inn where they met the kind, the vibrant, but sometimes scarily landlady, Yuruzu Senka. He noticed how roughed up Kasuma was, so she told him to take a bath after she showed them their rooms. They're both amazed at how peaceful the place was. When Kasuma was about to take a bath, he was shocked to see a girl cleaning the bathroom. It took him a few moments to realize he was completely naked. He covered himself with his hands and frantically covered himself. He ran away, but he ended up bumping into Senka. He fell flat on his back, revealing his nakedness to the landlady. Senka ended up teasing the poor Kasuma. Later in his room, he cried in shame until his brother came to get him for dinner. The next morning, Senka told the boys that she asked a girl that works there to guide them to school. It was the same girl from the bath. He started apologizing again, but the girl, Todo Shimugi, told him it was all right. While walking to school, they talked about how the brothers came to Yamabiko for Yayuma's health since his body was weak. Their dad wants him to live in a place where their air is clean. Their whole family was supposed to move there together, but the brothers had to go ahead since their parents were busy. When he arrived at his new classroom, he was supposed to introduce himself when a girl interrupted him. It was the girl who kicked him yesterday. He looked around and he saw the girl he accidentally kissed. His new school life just got more interesting. As soon as Kasuma entered his new classroom, the girl who kicked him yesterday started asking angrily why he was there. She demanded that he shouldn't be in their class, but the teacher told her to not be ridiculous since there's only one second-year class in their school. The other students laughed at her for this. The teacher then asked him to introduce himself. After he did so, one of the students sitting between the two girls he met yesterday, and who is apparently the teacher's son, wanted him to answer some awkward questions and even called the teacher Mom. The teacher was quick to remind him not to call her that in school and to call her Sensei. However, the student continued to argue with her and, so with a mighty swing of her arm, she threw a chalk at him. He tried to avoid it by reclining on his chair, but he ended up falling onto his back with his chair. The teacher told Kasuma that he will be taking her son's seat, for he will now sit at the lonely seat at the farthest back. When he took his seat, the girl that he accidentally kissed yesterday is sitting on his left side. She told him that she will call him Kasukun from now on, a shortened version of his name. He said that he doesn't mind. Soon after, he learned that her name was Nakatsuwaga Yui. Yui's friend, who was sitting on his right side, introduced herself as Hinata Ibuki, but she still looked at him suspiciously. They even ended up arguing in front of their classmates when she revealed what happened yesterday. When lunch came, he and the teacher's son, Daigo, went to the cafeteria together. There, they found Yui and Ibuki waiting for them. Kasuma found out how big of an appetite Yui has. He watched her eat 2 large lunchboxes filled with food. She was also right in assuming that she was eating the vegetables she was picked yesterday when they met. When school ended, Yui wanted to take him on a tour of the town. Ibuki wanted to tag along since she did not want to leave the two alone, while Daigo insisted on coming as well. Kasuma told them that he would bring his brother along as well. They were instantly curious about his brother and speculated how he would be. He called Ayuma to tell him that he would meet him at the bridge. As they're nearing the exit of the school, they saw Sumugi waiting for him. She told him that she was worried that he will get lost on his way home. The 5 of them went on their way to the bridge where they would meet Ayuma. Kasuma began wondering loudly if Ayuma was alright. Sumugi pointed out how he always worried about his brother, but she told him not to worry since she made sure that he will be fine. When they met Ayuma by the bridge, he was with a girl her age. It turned out to be Tsumugi's little sister, Kasane, who was in the same class as Ayuma. When his classmates saw how adorable Ayuma was, they speculated that they might not be related at all if his brother is that cute. Yui was even about to point out that they don't look similar at all. Kasuma instantly stopped their assumptions and told them that the two of them are related by blood. After their silly arguments had ended, they began to tour. They went to the convenience store, which was open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. They went to the so-called Yahoo to buy snacks, where Yui bought many cheese sticks. They even went to the shopping district, with Kasane giving them gossip about each store. Yui suggested they go to the Kotama Shrine, so they went. They had to climb up an incredible number of stairs. Yui challenged Kasuma to a race, and they ran up the sets of stairs as fast as they could. Kasuma was able to reach the top before Yui. Way to go, Kasuma! However, a girl there was a bit frightened by his sudden appearance. Yui knows her since she is a first year in their school. She called her Madoka and introduced Kasuma to her. Upon hearing his name, she was taken aback. She became teary-eyed, and she suddenly ran away, leaving them both confused. I wonder what that's all about. Their last destination was the Bagpipe Cafe, where they got lots of desserts. Kasuma was once again surprised by Yui's love for food, since she was able to finish her jumbo parfait with incredible speed. He noticed that she had cream on her face, so he helped her by wiping it off. However, to everyone's surprise, she called him Oni-chan out of nowhere. Why would she call him older brother? Their classmates seemed to be used to this already, since she apparently had done this before as well. She explained that she just gotten carried away since Ayuma kept calling Kasuma older brother. Strangely enough though, at home, Yui still referred to Kasuma as her older brother. This story is just getting more exciting. What more mystery will we unlock as the series continues? The episode started with the girl from the shrine, Madoka, dreaming of the same river that Kasuma dreamt about. The young Kasuma and the girl is there together, and he gave her a flower ring. Does this mean that Madoka is actually Kasuma's childhood friend? After the disastrous morning where Senka thought that the brothers are doing some naughty stuff, honestly, Senka, you should stop jumping to conclusions. The two set off to school. They met Daigo on the way, and they see how enthusiastic he was that morning. Kasuma and Daigo dropped Ayuma at the bridge towards the middle school. After Kasuma watched his brother walk for a while, they moved on to the high school. After a while, they heard Yui calling out to them. Kasuma greeted her brightly, but his expression changed when he saw that Ibuki is with her. They were about to get into another argument when he suddenly saw a girl watching them from afar. He noticed her again when he and Daigo are about to buy food. When it happened as he was going out of the classroom, he saw the mysterious girl again, but this time he decided to come after her. But when he rounded a corner, he almost bumped into Madoka. He ended up holding her by the shoulders. She's shocked and embarrassed, looking uncomfortable all over. He apologized for surprising her, but he was yet to let go of her. She suddenly threw him to the ground. Madoka was so unexpectedly strong that Kasuma ended up hurting his back. Good thing that Tsumugi found him lying there and took him to the nurse's office. There she explained to him that Madoka had some issues about having men near her due to how strict her grandfather was. That was why she ends up using self-defense, Goshin Jutsu, whenever one gets loose on her. She asked him not to think badly of Madoka because of the incident, and he assured her that he wouldn't. On Sunday, Ayuma remembered what happened with Madoka, so he decided to go and apologize to her. He went to Kotama Shrine. When he arrived at the top of the stairs, he saw her there like he did the last time. When she saw him, she was about to run away again, but he stopped her and instantly apologized to her. Madoka was embarrassed and she apologized for what she did too. They ended up talking on the steps of the shrine. He made sure to stay a respectable distance, which was a brilliant idea if he didn't want to be thrown to the ground again. They introduced themselves to one another properly. He was about to leave after their conversation, and she stopped him to ask about something. She was pretty embarrassed to ask him about it. She wants to know if the rumors about him knocking Yui to the ground and doing things to her were real. He was horrified to hear that from her, so he sheepishly told her the truth about what really happened. Madoka then understood what happened, even mentioning how she used to fall down by the river as well when she used to play there. However, when he mentioned that he actually accidentally kissed Yui there, he saw how teary-eyed she was. Turns out she was upset that the kiss happened in the place where she and Kasuma used to meet when they were young. She was his childhood friend. Tears started to flow and Kasuma didn't understand why. That's when he was hit with an acorn by a girl who calls herself Todo Keyori, claiming that she will punish the evildoer. She accused him of disturbing the peace of Yamabiko. She kept throwing acorns at him when he couldn't answer why Madoka was crying, since he doesn't really know. She only stopped her assault when Madoka stepped in front of him and told her that it wasn't his fault. Back at school, Yui wanted to go to the Bagpipe Cafe, but both Ibuki and Daigo couldn't go with them. It was apparent that Kasuma and Yui will be going home together, so Ibuki warned him to not do anything to her friend. Before their walk became too awkward, they ended up seeing Ayuma. His little brother informed him that he'd joined the art club. Later on, he noticed that Ayuma was a bit feverish, so he insisted to carry him on his back to the inn. The embarrassed Ayuma had no choice but to obey his older brother. Witnessing the interaction between the siblings, Yui recalled how her Oni-chan used to carry her too. She then imagined that she was the one Kasuma was carrying. She became instantly embarrassed that she was thinking such things when Ayuma is sick. When they got Ayuma settled in at home, she mentioned that he is such a good brother, and she's a bit jealous of Ayuma. She became ashamed right after and tried to explain herself. That's when Senka brought them snacks and teased them before she pretended to leave, but Kasuma caught her spying on them. After he watched her sheepishly leave, he turned back only to see that Yui was already eating. He ended up laughing at the embarrassed Yui. How will their relationship change in the coming episodes? Let's find out. It's another day in school, and Daigo and Kasuma are walking together to eat lunch. Daigo told him that he will use the restroom, so he threw his lunch at Kasuma. He caught it, but he ended up knocking down a girl that was behind him. He instantly got off her and frantically apologized. When he noticed that she dropped her phone, he picked it up for her. He noticed the little character dangling from her phone, and he told her that it was pretty cute. She thought that he was mocking her, but she eventually realized that he was talking about her phone's accessory. She got embarrassed and promptly walked away, leaving behind a confused Kasuma. He later learned from an overly excited Daigo that her name was Sakai Hina, the heir to the Sakai Sake store. During lunch, Kasuma, Daigo, Yui, and Ibuki talked about the upcoming sports festival. Kasuma learned that there would be a Hikonan race where each competitor will be representing a store. The marathon would include tasks that the participants have to complete at certain checkpoints. Yui would even represent the bagpipes representative. Kasuma was pretty confident that the race would not concern him. Unfortunately, he was wrong. As soon as he got home, Senka began his rigorous training as he would represent Yorizuya Inn. However, she wanted him to do some pretty unconventional training like cleaning the windows and jamming his fingers in a wok filled with sand. He decided to leave her to run instead. While he was in the park, he saw a bag of groceries on the ground under the tree. When he tried to investigate and pick it up, he heard a shout from up the tree. There he saw Todo Kayori rescuing a kitten. She accused him of trying to steal her stuff, but whenever he tried to defend himself, he had to keep averting his eyes since he can see under her underwear from down there. Kayori saw this as an act of guilt and continued on with her accusation. He finally explained to her why he can't look at her. She was taken aback with embarrassment that she lost her balance and fell from the tree. Kasuma tried to catch her, but she ended up landing on his face. The embarrassed Kaori realized he had saved her, so she reluctantly thanked him. They ended up walking together, and he found out that Kaori was actually Sumugi's sister. He also found out how kind and thoughtful she was, since the groceries were actually for a person named Genji who lives alone and can't go shopping on his own. She said that it's only natural to help someone in need. When he insisted to carry it for her, she only lets him take the other end of the bag, and they carried it together. They arrived at the home of Genji, and he found out that he was an old man living alone. Genji even assumed that he was Kaori's boyfriend. Kaori strongly denied that, stating that there was no way he'd be her boyfriend. He learned that Genji's wife had passed away and that his only daughter got married. That's why he lived alone. He also asked Kaori to visit his grandson, who will have surgery soon. On Sunday, Kasuma decided to train again. Before he left, he found out from Senka that his little brother went to Daigo's house. While he was running, he kept wondering what could Ayuma be doing there. When he reached the convenience store, he met Ibuki, who was self-training for her archery club. Meanwhile, Kaori, Kaita, Genji's grandson, she told him that energetic people could blow sickness away and do anything. He made her promise to win the Hikonan race since she is so energetic. They ended up pinky promising for it. Saika Hina, who was training for the race as well, saw a lonely teddy bear by the side of the road. She instantly became taken by it and picked it up. When she turned back to the road, she saw that Kasuma was in front of her. She was surprised, and she dropped the stuffed animal. He picked it up for her, and he even apologized to her for being rude to her at school since he did not realize that she was his senpai. When he left, she became disappointed. She's been wanting to apologize to him as well. Kasuma has been running so much that he reached the Katama shrine. He decided to push himself more and use the stairs to the top. When he reached the shrine, Madoka was there yet again, sweeping the floors. She was surprised by his presence and told him that she would appreciate it if he visits at reasonable hours. They talked for a while, and she told him that if he won the race, he would be the Ogami, or god of the fall festival. He will represent the god of the legend of the Twin Peak for the ritual prayer together with the goddess. They will read a speech when they meet at a bridge. When the calls of the god and goddess reach each other, there will be a bridge of stars in the night sky. Now, this race has just become even more exciting. Who's gonna win this race? It was the day of the sports festival. The students are divided into two teams for the games, the red team and the white team. There are many events for the students to participate in. Before the games began, the team's representatives, Todo Sumugi for the white team and Sakai Hina for the red team, recited the athlete's declaration. After that, The festival had officially begun. The first event was the bread-eating contest, and as expected, Yui dominated the competition. Hina, the cold beauty admired by most of the girls, won the girls' 100-meter sprint. Tsumugi tried her luck on the obstacle course, but she was too clumsy. She also ended up getting stuck in the most awkward of places. Her sisters, Kasena and Yoroko, commented that her body proportions were too good. Asuma joined the scavenger hunt. The players had to pick a card, and on it there was written instruction on what they needed to find. To his horror and embarrassment, the words on his card were large breasts. He decided to approach Madoka, but he forgot that she gets frightened when men touch her. When he took her arm, he got thrown on his back again. The archery club even had a demonstration. Ibuki was the representative and she had to shoot arrows at a target. However, while she was about to loose an arrow for her first attempt, she got distracted by Kasuma and Yui sharing a bottle of water. She remembered when she tried to offer him her bottle of water once, but he commented that they'd end up having an indirect kiss. She was so embarrassed by the memory that her arrow landed far away from the bullseye. She was so frustrated that she imagined that it was Kasuma she was targeting. Her second arrow was a direct hit on the target. Kasuma suddenly felt a chill when she was done. I guess you'll indeed feel a chill down your spine if you have someone wanting to shoot arrows at you. During lunch, Kasuma and Ayuma met Yui's parents. They brought her lots of food to eat and to share with them. They learned that Kasuma resembled Yui's brother. Her parents even warned Ayumu to watch out for Yui might steal his brother. Yui became incredibly embarrassed. Senka came as well and gave the brothers the lunch she prepared for them. After a while, the event that everyone had been waiting for began. The Kanon race would start. There were many students who joined the race to represent different stores, such as Yui, representing the Bagpipe Cafe, Hina, representing the Sakai Distillery, and Korori, who represented the Yamogan Garden. The race had started. The first challenge of the marathon was to eat 30 bowls of red bean soup before they can move on from that checkpoint. According to a report, Yui anticipated the eating challenge to be ramen that. Everyone wondered if she will be alright, but her mother was pretty confident that she would be just fine. As expected, she dominated the first challenge, devouring bowl after bowl of red bean soup. The next challenge was eel catching. The competitor needed to catch 10 slippery eels with their bare hands to pass that checkpoint. A lot were having difficulties catching the eels. However, Kaori was able to complete the task with ease. She caught the eels with speed and finished in no time. Kasane, who was the on-site reporter for the race, told the audience that her sister actually used to catch loaches in the rice fields and ate them raw. Upon hearing this, Kaori angrily refuted her sister's statement, amusing the audience with her banter. In the last station, they were supposed to dress in a costume before they could continue on with the race. Kaori was leading the race, and she did not hesitate to wear the costume she randomly picked. Wearing a fancy wedding dress, she continued to take on the lead. However, she was now having difficulty running since the dress came with heels. Yui ended up in a pigeon costume. Her costume was so adorable and squishy that Hina, who gets easily distracted by cuteness, started running after her. Yui gets frightened that she was getting chased and that she ran as fast as she could with Hina pursuing her. Meanwhile, Kaori was still in the lead. She was determined to win and fulfill her promise to Kaita. However, she ended up tripping on her dress and hurting her foot. She tried standing up, but she fell right back down due to the pain. Kasuma, wearing a groom costume, then arrived and saw that she was hurt. He helped her stand up and saw her foot. He told her that she should retire, but she explained that she has to fulfill her promise. He told her that he'll help her to the finish line, but she refused. She wanted to do it on her own. But when they looked back, they saw Yui, who was still being chased by Hina, fast approaching. Ignoring her stubbornness, he lifted her up his arm and started running. Surprised, she asked him what he was doing. He told her that if she wants to win, she just has to leave it to him. Everyone was surprised at the finish line when Kasuma arrived carrying Kaori like a princess. They crossed the finish line with Kaori's hand touching the ribbon first. Kaori was declared the winner. Kaita saw her on TV telling him how to blow the sickness away. This cheered him up tremendously. Well done, Kaori and Kasuma. Kasuma learned from Yui and Ibuki that the finals will be coming up and that those who flunked it will be forced to take summer classes. He started worrying, but Daigo had an idea of how to conquer the finals. A study session. When the Toto sisters arrived with Madoka, Kasuma welcomed them to the inn. He was glad to see that Kaori's foot was already healing. Yui and Ibuki were already there along with Daigo. They were about to start, but Tsumugi told them to wait since there was still one person joining. It was Hina. When she arrived, it was Ayumu who greeted her. Tsumugi welcomed her as well, and she introduced herself to Kasuma's little brother. She became fond of Ayumu instantly. Now that they were complete, their first two attempts to start the study session kept getting interrupted by Yui opening various snacks. Ibuki had to chide her twice, but she only stopped when Tsumugi told her that they have snacks later on. They're finally able to focus. They helped one another study for the finals. However, Kasuma caught Madoka staring at him, but she looked away when their eyes met. They studied the whole afternoon. When Tsumugi noticed that it was already late, she told them that cramming was not helpful and that they should take a break. She suggested that they take a bath first before having dinner. Daigo is instantly delighted by the idea. He started jumping in glee at the idea. Unfortunately, his excitement was all for nothing since the baths were not co-ed. Turns out he was anticipating that all of them would take the bath together. Really, Daigo? You're supposed to be focusing on your studies instead of focusing on perverted stuff, remember? While in the bath, he kept on complaining to Kasuma and Ayumu about their situation. He couldn't contain himself, so he used the pails as makeshift stairs. When he got to the top, Kaori was waiting for him on the other side of the wall. She splashed shampoo on his eyes, and he fell into the bath again. Turned out she also used the pails as stairs, predicting his attempt to peek at them. Later on, Daigo was still fantasizing about the girls on the other side of the wall. He still kept on complaining. Kasuma was obviously becoming tired of listening to him. When he learned that there was a wooden gate leading to the other side, he instantly made his way there, only to find Senka the landlady waiting for him with a dark look. Looks like Daigo had to face Senka's scary side. The group found themselves outside after their bath. They observed the beautiful sight of the fireflies flying about near the river. Kasuma and Yui were sitting together when Ayumu asked his brother to come to look at the fireflies with him at the riverbed. When Yui was invited to come with them, she refused. She was deep in thought, for she was remembering her older brother and how he brought his fiancé there once to look at fireflies. She felt like her Oni-chan was stolen from her. The memory of her brother and how he got married came back to her, upsetting her even more. When dinner was ready, they were called to come inside. However, Yui was still so upset that she did not eat much, surprising everyone. She insisted that she wasn't really hungry. They went back to studying after a while, but when Tsumugi saw that it was already midnight, she decided that it was time for them to sleep, especially since Kaori was already asleep. The girls were pretty excited about the sleepover. Asane even brought her cuddly bear pajamas. In Kasuma's room, Daigo was yet again complaining while he has to sleep next to Kasuma instead of with the girls. He was once again fantasizing about what the girls were doing. He tried to sneak out of the room to go to the girls. Unfortunately, Senka was already waiting for him outside when he opened the door. He really doesn't learn his lesson, does he? In the middle of the night, Kasuma just came from the bathroom when he saw Yui by the stairs. He asked her what she was doing up so late. She explained that she couldn't sleep. However, her stomach started rumbling. Kasuma laughed so hard, knowing that she was actually hungry. Good thing Tsumugi actually prepared her some food in case she got hungry. Madoka noticed that Yui was not in her cot, so she peeked outside the window. The sight that greeted her upset her. She saw how Yui and Kasuma were standing next to each other while looking at the moon. They were standing close while talking about the festival's bridge of stars. She observed them with a pained look in her eyes. Poor Madoka. All these hidden feelings is making this story much more exciting. What will happen next now that our characters are getting closer than ever? Kasuma was beyond relieved when finals were over. As a finals over party, Daigo suggested that they go to Honshu, the biggest city around there. It's where most people go to hang out and shop during their days off. Ibuki told them she can't come with them since she's got club activity. She had to practice for the archery prefectural tournament. Ayumu, who was also not present during their trip since he promised his friends from Arts Club he'll sketch the scenery with them. When they arrived in the city, they found out that they have to wait for 2 hours before a karaoke box could be available. They decided to go to the arcade to pass the time. Kaori and Kasuma started playing a combat game against each other, but Kasuma kept on winning. Annoyed, Kaori challenged him to an actual wrestling match. He refused her, of course, which was a good thing since it would be weird if they wrestled in the arcade all of a sudden. Kasane, who was really great at the dance game, urged Madoka to give it a try too. She hesitated since she'd never tried it before, and she gave in eventually, and Kasane told her she was doing pretty great. She was so good, in fact, that she lured an audience around her. Meanwhile, Yui was frustratingly trying to win the delicious sticks at the claw machine, but she kept on dropping them. Kasuma noticed her after a while and approached her. She told him that she kept on dropping them and that she will go get more chain. He was left there, so he tried the machine. He ended up winning a cute accessory that looked like the one Hina had on her phone. Yui came back soon after carrying lots of change. He told her that it would be cheaper if she just bought the delicious sticks. Meanwhile, Hina was in the restroom. She was preparing herself to apologize to Kasuma for being rude to him during their first meeting. She told herself that she will wait until Kasuma was alone. When she got out, she saw Kasuma entering the boys' restroom. He greeted her, but before he could enter the restroom, he gave her the accessory he'd won. She was enamored by the cute accessory that was similar to hers. She was so happy to have it, so she thanked him. However, she forgot to apologize to him once again. I wonder when she will get around to apologizing to him. They were finally in the karaoke box. They had lots of fun singing and dancing to the music. This day out really cheered up our characters. They clearly enjoyed themselves, even more so that the karaoke place served food. On the day of Ibuki's tournament, they all gathered together to cheer her on, except for Tsumugi, who had a part-time job at the Urazuyo Inn, and Hina, who had to help out in their distillery. They were all greeting Ibuki before the main rounds start, when Yui noticed that she was forcing herself to be cheerful for them. She informed Kasuma about this, and he felt worried as well. Ibuki was not able to win the tournament. She missed her last shot. They were all waiting for her to come out to the lobby so they could go home together, but she never arrived. They got even more worried when she turned off her phone so no one could contact her. When Kasuma and Ayumu were walking home, he realized where Ibuki was. When he found her in the observatory, he told her that everyone was worried for her. He asked her if she was upset because she lost, and she told him how scared she was, that she practiced so much, but she couldn't defeat herself when she grew afraid. She was humiliated and didn't want anyone seeing her like that. He realized how upset she was, so he shouted at the top of his lungs about how he hated the finals. He reminded her that she screams when something bad happens. She wiped her tears and shouted how upset she was with herself. She instantly felt better. The two smiled warmly at each other. It seemed that they became closer than ever. Is this a blooming friendship? Or something else? Only time will tell. Kasuma had only ever called Ibuki by her surname, so when she told him after their talk in the observatory that he can call her Ibuki rather than Hinata from now on, he was taken aback by this, so he asked her why. Before she could answer, Yui arrived to comfort Ibuki as well. One day, Kasuma called Yui to tell her about their plans to go to the beach. She was so excited about it. However, when she heard him call Ibuki by her name, she became silent. He only ever called her Hinata, so she was shocked when he called her by her actual name. On their way to the beach, they talked about a lot of things. Kasuma found out that Madoka volunteers at the library and makes up stories for the children. He was amazed by this, and he tells her so. She was embarrassed by all the praise, but Kaori was quick to brag about her friend. Hino was there as well, even if she was studying hard for the college entrance exam. The main reason she came was so she could finally apologize to Kasuma. When they arrive on the beach, Yui and Kaori were so excited to go swimming. Ibuki tried to stop them since they have to stretch before getting in the water. An embarrassed Madoka was trying to hide behind Kasane since she wasn't ready to show herself wearing her swimwear. Kasane pushed her forwards, but she ended up bumping into Kasuma. He immediately stepped away from her and braced himself for her attack. When he did not end up getting hurled away, she explained that they had already gotten to know each other well as friends. While they were having a blast in the water, Ibuki was with Ayumu making tunnels out of the sand. Kasuma approached them. He told her that he was glad that she was helping his little brother, but he asked her if she doesn't want to swim. She tried to evade his question, but his brother revealed that she can't swim like him. Hina then came to them and offered to teach Ayumu how to swim. She told Ibuki that Kasuma can teach her. Meanwhile, Ui came to where their bags were. Tsumugi was there to keep watch. Ui has gotten thirsty, so she wants to buy shaved ice. She asked Tsumugi where Kasuma has gone. When Tsumugi pointed to where Kasuma was, she saw that he was teaching Ibuki how to swim. She once again saw the resemblance of Kasuma to her older brother. She remembered how her Oni-chan taught her how to swim too. Tsumugi noticed that her mood has changed. She asked her what was wrong. Ui only evaded her question and told her that she'll go and buy shaved ice. Ui came back only to find Madoka instead of Tsumugi. Madoka told her that Tsumugi went to do something, so she was tasked to watch the bags. Ui then gave her the extra shaved ice she bought. Madoka saw this as an opportunity to ask her what she thinks about Kasuma. Ui was taken aback by her question and asked her what she meant. She asked her clearly if Ui liked Kasuma. Ui became flustered and doesn't know how to properly answer her question. She eventually told Madoka that she only likes Kasuma as a brother. Madoka was greatly relieved when she heard this, but she struggled to respond to Ui, asking her why she wanted to know what she felt for Kasuma. Good thing Tsumugi came back with a giant watermelon, so they could play watermelon splitting. They had fun playing the game. The player had to wear a blindfold and had to split the watermelon. Ui ended up winning for her amazing talent of sniffing out where exactly the watermelon was. After that, they played beach volleyball, which they clearly enjoyed. Everyone was having a delightful time. While the others were playing, Ayumu confessed to Tsumugi that he felt like he was a dead weight to his brother since he was little. Tsumugi told him that instead of thinking that way, he should do what he can to make his brother smile. Ayumu cheered up because of her words and agreed to do that for his brother. Kasuma found Hina when everyone was getting ready to leave. She was finally alone with him. She found it difficult to apologize to him, but she was able to do so. However, he misunderstood her words and thought she was apologizing for making him look for her. She tried to call him back to tell him that it was not what she meant, but he already walked away. On their way home, Ui asked Ibuki when had Kasuma started calling her by her actual name. Ibuki told her that she doesn't remember. Ibuki asked her in turn why she had asked her that. Ui only answered that she was just wondering, was that really all? Is everything getting more complicated? Kasuma was on his way home from his trip with Daigo when he saw Hina in the park. She looked weak and she did not respond when he asked her why she was just sitting alone. She stood up, but she almost collapsed if not for him catching her. Turned out she was extremely hungry to the point that she fainted. He bought her lots of food to eat and she ate them enthusiastically. He learned that she ran away from home. She and her father fought, so she ran without bringing her wallet or her clothes. When he asked her what she intends to do now, she used her puppy eyes on him, hoping that he will let her stay at his place. He told her that they're just letting him stay at the inn to begin with, but he eventually gave in when he saw her walk away. He led her to his room without alerting anyone in the inn. He told her to feel free to stay for a while. He mentioned that part of the ceiling was lower, but it was too late as she already bumped her head against the ceiling. Ayumu suddenly called him from the outside to inform him that dinner was ready. He made sure that his brother would not find out that Hina was there with him. When he left, Hina told Kasuma that she already ate a lot, so she'll be fine. Night came and they had to decide about their sleeping arrangement. He wanted her to take the bed, but she insisted she was the guest, so she should sleep on the floor. He told her that he can't let a girl sleep on the floor. Hina decided they should just sleep next to each other since she doesn't really move around when she sleeps. While they were lying side by side at night, he asked her why she argued with her father. He assured her that it was fine if she doesn't want to tell him. She told him that she wanted to go to Tokyo University. Her father was against it, fearing that she would not return. She only wanted to help out their distillery the only way she can. Since she can't stand making the sake, she wanted to help out with the marketing and business aspects instead. However, her father never allowed her to explain this to him. She mentioned that she fears that she would not be able to tell him about her entire life. Kasuma told her that she will find the right opportunity. Hearing his words, she finally apologized to him for being rude to him when they first met. He pointed out that since she was able to tell him something she wasn't able to before, he assured her that she'll be able to do the same to her father. The next morning, Senka caught them sleeping together with Hina tightly hugging Kasuma while she slept. Talked to them about it and told them she understood the situation. However, she doesn't like that they did not discuss it with her first. She can stay at the inn, but she has to work there as well. When Kasuma asked why he had to work as well, she told him that Samugi went on a family vacation, so she needs some workers. While they are working, Hina's father came to take her back home, yet she resisted. Kasuma found the two of them arguing and decided to interfere. He started defending Hina, and when he found out that he was talking to her father, he confronted him even further for not listening to what she wanted and not giving her a chance to speak her mind. Their counter only became more intense until Senka arrived. She told Hina's father that Kasuma was an important guest and that since Hina was Kasuma's guest, she is the guest of the inn as well. She made it clear that she would not let anyone take her guests by force. After a while, Kasuma learned that Hina's father challenged him to a tug-of-war, a traditional way in the village to settle disputes. It would be held as per tradition at the shrine. Hina told him that he doesn't have to agree, but he was determined to accept the challenge. He told her father that if he wins, Hina could do as she pleases. But if Mr. Sakai wins, she would go home. Even if Kasuma was uncomfortable with the traditional garb for such an event that reveals too much, he still did his best to defeat Mr. Sakai. Both of them struggled with the battle. It was uncertain who would be the victor. In the end, Kasuma managed to pull the rope enough to be victorious. Way to go, Kasuma! Even though Mr. Sakai's pride was a bit broken, he really did intend on finding out where his daughter was coming from. He just got carried away during the match and was a bit humiliated. Hina and her father are both not good at expressing themselves, but in the end, they managed to reconcile, thanks in part to Kasuma, the problem solver. Despite the success that Kasuma was able to achieve for Hina, one's heart broke after hearing of it. Upon learning of the tug-of-war that occurred, Madoka became depressed since it was implied that the traditional reason for the tug-of-war challenge was marriage. She thought that Kasuma was going to marry Hina. After their family's trip to Hawaii, Kaori visited Madoka immediately to give her gifts. However, she learned that her friend was upset lately. At first she thought that she was sick, but Madoka's mom told her that it was not serious. When she learned that she became depressed after the tug-of-war, Kaori grew even more worried. Denji told her that she mentioned to Madoka the traditional meaning of the tug-of-war duel and speculated that Madoka was probably upset because Kasuma will marry Hina. While the group was in the inn to do their summer class homework, Kaori appeared and angrily asked Kasuma if he really intended to marry Hina. He was taken aback by her question, and so were their friends. He explained to her what was the real purpose of the tug-of-war. When she realized that it was all just a misunderstanding, she was quick to tell them that she must tell Madoka the truth. This confused Kasuma, so he inquired as to why she would need to tell Madoka. The ever-insightful Daigo immediately concluded that Madoka liked Kasuma. Kasuma was flustered by his statement. Kaori never realized that Madoka's actions were actually because of her feeling. This was a shocking revelation for them, but not so much for us. Later on, Daigo, Kasane, Kaori planned to help Madoka and Kasuma get together. They were so excited by the prospect. However, Ibuki's mood changed upon hearing them, telling them that she would not help. Even Yui became crestfallen by the conversation. Nevertheless, their other friends decided to proceed with their plan. Kasane and Kaori told Madoka about how they will set up a date for her and Kasuma. They expressed their support for her love for Kasuma. Even though Madoka was hesitant and unsure of their suggestion, she ended up agreeing with their plan. And so according to their plan, they made Kasuma believe that they were all going to the amusement park, when in fact, they will cancel at the last minute, so it was only him and Madoka on the train. Nonetheless, Kasuma was determined that the two of them will have fun, oblivious to their friend's devious plan. However, they were not aware that certain people in disguise were actually following them. Daigo, Kasane, and Kaori are cleverly dressed in a way that they would not be recognized. Madoka followed the plan carefully. She was determined to make it work, and even though she was scared of the roller coaster, she still insisted that they try it. She was no better at the horror house. She ended up hugging Kasuma hard since she was so terrified of the pretend ghosts and spirits. She did enjoy herself in the petting zoo where she and Kasuma fed the cute rabbits together. However, when he mentioned that the rabbits were as hungry as Yui, she became sad hearing him talk about Yui all the time. Even while she presented him with the food she prepared for him, he still mentioned Yui and how she would have loved the bento lunch she brought. No matter how happy she was being there with him, she was upset. When she arrived home, she recalled the time they spent together when they were young. She looked at the hat he once placed on her head when they were kids. So she invited him on a trip again, this time to the river where they first met as children. She's determined to make him remember her. While they were there, her hat suddenly got caught by the wind, but he was able to catch it. When he placed it back on her head, he suddenly remembered that he did the same thing to the kid in his memory. Finally remembered her. She told him of how the kid who approached her near the river had been different from other children her age. To her, that kid was a prince who was gentle and cool. She confessed that she wished that he felt just a little bit of the feelings she had towards him. She wished that he remembered her. He told her that he had no idea that she thought of him in that way, and that she did not recognize her since her hair was shorter before. Before he can go further, she told him that she understood his feeling. She only wanted him to say to her the words he told her when they were little. She wanted to hear him say those words again. And so, just like he did on the day they played together, he held her by the shoulders and told her that they would be friends forever. While walking to school, Yui and Ibuki talked about how Kasuma and Tsumugi would be the god and goddess of the upcoming festival. Hina and Yui would be the goddess's escorts. Ibuki told her that she should have tried for the part of the goddess, so she would be able to confess to Kasuma at the ritual. Yui became flustered, and she blushed profusely at the thought of confessing to Kasuma, but she insisted that he is more like a big brother to her. However, Ibuki warned her that someone like Hina, a Kaori, would snatch him away. More shockingly, she even joked that she could even be the one to take him away. Yui was taken aback by this, but after a moment, Ibuki clarified she was just joking. Yui was relieved and told her not to scare her like that. Even though she was laughing it off, Ibuki was crestfallen. Yui, on the other hand, was excited about the prospect of Kasuma accepting her confession. As she was thinking about getting together with him, she received a call. It was from Ayumu, Kasuma's little brother. He was asking her to be the model for his new painting. It was another Sunday morning, and as usual, Kasuma woke up at noon. Senko was quick to shoo him out of the house for a walk since she needs to clean. He was in fact doing it so Ayumu can successfully paint his gift for Kasuma. While walking in the shopping district, Kasuma found Ibuki by the bridge. When he asked what she was doing there, she told him that she was just hanging out. She then suddenly suggested that they go downtown as revenge for when she wasn't able to go with them due to her club activity. To make it up to her, he excitedly agreed. They went to the arcade and played lots of games together. She shopped for clothes and showed him the different outfits. When they went hungry, they shared a giant plate of spaghetti. They even sang their heart out at a karaoke place. Meanwhile, Ayumu was making a portrait of Yui. After a while, he decided to give his model a break. He served her snacks and some drinks, which she enthusiastically enjoyed. He then told her that he was giving the portrait to his older brother. She was shocked when she heard this, even more so when he explained the reason why. He told her that Kasane said that the reason Kasuma rejected Madoka was that he was already dating Yui. She instantly told him that she wasn't going out with him. When she realized what she had just said, she immediately told him that Kasuma was like a big brother to her. At that moment, Tsumugi arrived and told her that wasn't true. She told her that Kasuma was Ayuma's brother, not hers. After spending time together downtown, Kasuma and Ibuki sat at the park. While they were having a conversation, she teased him by saying that they looked like a couple to other people. However, she surprised him when she told him since that was the case, why not become a real couple? He became flustered and told her to stop joking around. She laughed it off, even though her eyes were reflecting a different emotion, apologized for saying something weird and that she was indeed joking. On his way home, he recalled what Ibuki told him about them being a real couple. He realized something in the way she talked and how crestfallen she was while telling him that it was a joke. He ran back to her as fast as he could. He apologized to her, saying that if she was indeed serious about them being a couple, then he was sorry. She softly told him that it was a joke, of course. However, her actions said otherwise. She called him an idiot for running back even though there was no way that she was serious. Her tears fell and the first drops of rain followed. Kasuma watched her cry as the rain came down harder, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, Yui remembered just how Ayumu did what he could to make his older brother smile. Finally dared to call her brother to congratulate him on his wedding. She dialed his phone number. Before he could speak properly, she told him what she's been wanting to tell him. He was surprised and asked her how she found out they were having a baby. Upon hearing this, she was instantly elated. Kasuma was only now finding out that he was supposed to play the role of the male god in the festival. Daigo told him of the traditional confession that occurs between the one playing the god and the one playing the goddess. He told him that he can now confess to Tsumugi since she was the goddess. Daigo continued by saying that legend said that it brings a good harvest if the confession was accepted, even though he asked him why does he have to confess to Tsumugi at all. At that moment, Ibuki and Yui approached them. It became instantly clear that there was some awkward tension between Kasuma and Yui. They can't even look at each other in the eye. Since both Kasuma and Yui had roles in the ritual of the festival, they had to walk together to the shrine to try out their robes. Even though they are walking side by side, they barely spoke a word between them. When both of them attempted a conversation at the same time, they ended up not continuing. Things only got awkward after that. They were so consumed by the tension that they did not notice that Hino was already between them. When she suddenly spoke, they jumped apart. The three of them made their way to the shrine. The white robe he would wear at the festival suited him well. Tsumugi was also stunning in her robe. Kasuma looked at Yui closely, but they both looked down at the same time after a while, avoiding each other's gazes. Tsumugi, insightful as ever, noticed this. While they were having tea, Madoko noticed that Yui was not with them. Kasane informed them that she went to the bathroom. Tsumugi made her way to the bathroom as well. Madoka, on the other hand, was forced to show Kasane her robes as the ritual's emissary of heaven. When Yui got out of the bathroom, Tsumugi was there waiting for her. She wanted to have a chat wanted to know if Yui got into an argument with Kasuma since they were acting out of the ordinary. She told Tsumugi that since she's always thought of Kasuma as a brother, she always feels at ease when she's with him. But when she finally understood that she already had a big brother, she doesn't know how to talk to him anymore. She confessed that her chest tightens when their eyes meet and blushes when she thinks of it. Tsumugi gently told her that what she was describing was love. Yui instantly denied her speculation, insisting that even though her heart beats faster when she thinks of him, it wasn't love. Tsumugi only looked at her with a little smile. Meanwhile, Hina was asking Kasuma why he didn't tell Yui that he thinks she was cute. Flustered and embarrassed, he wasn't able to respond properly. She told him that just as she did before, if he's got something to say, he should just say it. In another practice for the festival, they were given the basic of the procedure. Madoka, as the emissary from heaven, would dance in the prayer hall, would then give Kasuma, the male god, the summons. The goddess will set out with her attendants as well on their floats. The two floats carrying the god and the goddess will meet at the bridge to do the greeting ritual. The one writing the summons will be Madoka, the emissary. While practicing for a dance, Madoka received a call from Tsumugi. He talked about faking sickness, which shocked Madoka. What could they be planning? Before the ritual started, Tsumugi suddenly acted as if her stomach hurts. Yui was panicking, thinking she should call the hospital, but Tsumugi only told her that she just needed to rest. However, she requested Yui to step up as the one to play the goddess role. She was hesitant to play the role. However, Tsumugi convinced her that she already knows the procedure as she had been practicing as an attendant with her. She eventually agreed, although a bit hesitant. Ritual started and the two floats arrived at the bridge. Kasuma was getting ready to read the summons when he saw that it was Yui that stood in the other float. He hesitated and couldn't bring himself to open the summons he was supposed to read. When he managed to open the scroll, he saw that Madoka has written a message he was supposed to read. It took him a while, but he finally got the courage to read what the note said and what he really felt. At the top of his lungs, he shouted that he loved Yui for all the crowd to hear. When she heard what he said, she was unable to speak for a while. Not until Ibuki shouted that she answered Kasuma's confession, she found the courage to tell him that she loved him back. At the end of the festival, the two of them are together, looking up at the night sky. Just like the god and goddess of the Twin Mountain, their call of love has reached one another. The two of them now stood under the bridge of stars that formed in the dark sky. If you'd like more anime series recaps like this one, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. And until next time, guys.